Hello and welcome to Weekly News Highlights. I'm Kim Dami. It's great to be back, and I'll be wrapping up your week with the biggest stories in Korea and around the world every weekend. North Korea blew up roads connecting to South Korea after blaming Seoul for flying drones over Pyongyang. The North also revealed that its constitution now defines the South as a hostile state. South Korean novelist Han Kang, who won the Nobel Literature last week, made her first public appearance this week, where she voiced her desire to continue writing and finish 3 books within the next 6 years. Once seen as a symbol of inter-Korean cooperation, the roads connecting the two Koreas were destroyed by North Korea on Tuesday. The North also publicly reported on its constitutional amendment, which defines South Korea as a hostile state. Our Kim Bo-kyung starts us off.
North Korean state media for the first time publicly mentioned that it defines South Korea as a hostile state in the constitution. In a report on the North state-run Korean Central News Agency on Thursday, the regime said it was, quote, an inevitable and legitimate measure stemming from the serious security circumstances mounting to the unpredictable brink of war due to grave political and military provocations of the hostile forces. The regime previously convened a key parliamentary meeting, the Supreme People's Assembly, earlier on October 7th and 8th. It was widely thought that the North could have made constitutional changes defining inter-Korean relations, as Pyongyang had declared its intention to redefine Seoul as a hostile state last year, along with Kim's order to remove references to peaceful unification. But none related to the issue had been disclosed until Thursday's news report. The report did not mention further details, though, other than mentioning how the Constitution defined the South as a hostile state. South Korean Unification Ministry sources called North Korea's move an anti-unification and anti-national action. But it also said there is a small possibility of the regime not having made the actual amendment, as the regime statement used ambiguous words such as in meeting the demand of the Constitution. The ministry also said it needs to monitor whether there were constitutional changes on territory, especially over the possibility of the regime declaring a new maritime border in the constitution, as Kim Jong-un previously said the regime cannot accept the northern limit line, the de facto maritime border between the two Koreas. Also on Thursday, KCNA reported on the North having detonated the last symbol of inter-Korean reconciliation, the Gyeonggi and Donghae Line roads. It said the explosions carried out by the Korean People's Army have completely blocked parts of the road and railway along the east coast and parts in Kaesong in the west. While saying such a move was to completely separate the sovereign territory of the North and the South, the North's Defense Ministry spokesperson said the regime's actions to permanently fortify its southern border will continue. To this, South Korea's defense ministry said it is monitoring if the regime makes any such moves.
We are continuously monitoring and assessing the fortification activities that North Korea claims to be conducting.
Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Senior diplomats of South Korea, the U.S. and Japan have strongly condemned North Korea for continued violations of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Wednesday's joint statement followed a meeting held in Seoul between South Korea's first Vice Foreign Minister Kim Hong-kyun and his American and Japanese counterparts Kurt Campbell and Masataka Okano. In the meeting, they also decided to continue trilateral efforts to combat military cooperation between North Korea and Russia, the North's illicit cyber activities, and the dispatch of workers abroad to fund its ballistic missile programs. And the 3 officials also agreed to strengthen cooperation to promote human rights in North Korea, calling for an immediate resolution regarding the issues of abductees, detainees, and unrepatriated prisoners of war. After accusing the South of sending drones carrying anti-Pyongyang leaflets to its capital, North Korea has now completely cut off roads connecting to the South and fortified its border. For more, we have our foreign affairs correspondent Bae In-ji here in the studio on what this means for inter-Korean relations. Welcome, In-ji.
Thanks for having me.
So what might be the intention behind the move by North Korea this time?
So in practical terms, the destruction of the roads does not make much difference. The roads were not in use for years, and a heavily fortified border separates the two Koreas. But they are very symbolic, as they're the only roads that connect to South Korea, and because they were largely built with South Korean money. Blowing up these roads is seen as a display of anger, which comes at a time of when inter-Korean tensions are at their highest point in recent years. Kim Yong-hyun, a professor of North Korean studies in Seoul, also suggests North Korea's move could be aimed at gaining stronger public solidarity behind Kim Jong-un's leadership.
Internally, North Korea is probably aiming to strengthen unity, while externally, it serves as a symbolic act to express its strong stance toward South Korea and the United States.
But this is not the first time that the North has destroyed a symbolic facility on its territory to deliver a political message. In 2020, the regime blew up an inter-Korean liaison office built near the border in protest against a South Korean civil group's sending of anti-Pyongyang leaflets. Before that, in 2018, it destroyed tunnels at its nuclear testing site at the start of nuclear diplomacy with the United States.
Eunji, on top of that, North Korea made it public that its constitutional amendment now defines South Korea as a, quote, hostile state. What can you tell us about that?
So this is the North's first mention of what its recent constitutional revisions entailed. Earlier in January, Kim Jong-un himself declared that his regime will no longer pursue reconciliation with the South and called on officials to rewrite the constitution. So the North appears to be moving further and further away from unification by defining South Korea as their biggest enemy. Here's what Professor Park Won-gon at Ewha Women's University had to say.
So I think there is strong possibility that they revised or reformed the constitution to get rid of all the unification. At the same time, they are including this South Korea is number one, arch and principal enemy.
Eunji, the question is, what happens next? How will this affect inter-Korean relations from now on?
Well, relations between the two Koreas are unlikely to improve in the near future. As North Korea continues to accuse the South of sending drones to its capital, experts in Seoul say there is a possibility that North Korea could carry out military action, such as sending drones at night or engaging in provocations near the border. Take a listen.
The tensions between the two Koreas will likely continue for the time being, especially with the United States presidential election coming up. North Korea seems determined not to back down.
In recent months, the North has been engaging in a number of provocations, such as sending thousands of trash-carrying balloons across the border. Experts warn that it's important to stay on alert and not overlook these provocations from North Korea.
In my view, the ongoing leaflet balloons from the South have been a big cause of this because Kim believes they've been encouraged by the ROK government. And although it's unclear who sent the recent drones to Pyongyang, the evidence is that they originated from the South, whether they be from NGOs or the government or maybe a combination of the two. But we should caution that Hamas for years was sending incendiary balloons over the fence in Gaza over into Israel. And look where things are today. So this is a very, very dangerous tactic that's going on.
Many experts say it's unlikely that North Korea will initiate a full-scale war for now. But the verbal spat and the tit-for-tat exchanges that we've been seeing recently will likely continue for the time being.
Alrighty, Eunji, thank you so much for the comprehensive report today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Policy discussions with citizens, which invites citizens to pitch in for government policy making, resumed this Tuesday for the 29th edition on Jeju Island. Jeju is known as a popular destination for tourism, and now President Yoon Suk-yeol says the island will become a hub for the test operation for flying taxis. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon tells us more.
South Korea's southernmost resort island of Jeju was President Yoon Suk-yeol's destination for his 29th public policy dialogue. On Tuesday, President Yoon, meeting with the citizens of the island, shared his vision for fostering it further with three main ideas: tourism development through connection and specialization, industrial growth leading cleanliness and innovation, and lastly, improved living conditions focused on practical change.
제주의 성장 잠재력은 그야말로 무궁무진합니다. 제주의 강점과 특성에 더욱 집중해서 확실한 발전 전략을 실천해 나간다면 훨씬 더 크게 도약할 수 있다고 저는 확신합니다.
President Yoon first said the urban air mobility industry will be supported within the island to boost tourism further. He noted that the island has the infrastructure and natural structure fit for UAMs to help travel, sightseeing, and shipping, which he says will be a UAM operation test zone. He also pledged to ramp up the building of a second airport on the island. The government announced basic plans last September as the current airport has been too busy. For reference, according to global travel data provider OAG, the flight route from Gimpo Airport in Seoul to Jeju International Airport is the world's busiest domestic flight route by seats. As for the eco-friendly aspect, President Yoon promised to foster the island as the nation's example for EV battery reuse. Yoon also touched on preserving the island's natural beauty while fostering new industries there. Jeju Island boasts UNESCO World Natural Heritage Sites. With it difficult for the island to obtain sources of energy and also having the biggest share of EVs in the nation, there will be support for EV battery recycling while fostering more hydrogen energy creation. President Yoon also made sure the citizens will have better living conditions, especially regarding the medical system.
그동안 제주도를 갖다가 서울 권역에 집어넣어서 이런 병원 기준을 운영을 해왔다는 거, 권역병원 기준을 운영해왔다는 것이 참 잘못된 것이고, 하여튼 저희들이 여기 상급 종합병원, 그 다음에 거점 진료센터들이 만들어져서 정부가 충분히 여기에 대해서는 재정 지원을 해가지고.
Yoon also noted better education will be provided so that the residents do not have to move to the mainland to pursue degrees. 김도현, Arirang News.
4 local government heads and Seoul City's superintendent of education have been newly elected here in South Korea, where the ruling and main opposition parties won crucial regional by-elections in their respective strongholds. Our Lee Si-hoo has the results.
As expected, the results of Wednesday's by-elections for an education superintendent and heads of local governments followed the country's regional political divides. In what was the first voting since April's general election, the ruling People Power Party won 2 seats, one of which was in the traditionally conservative city of Busan, while the main opposition Democratic Party won 2 seats in the traditionally liberal province of Jeollanam-do. The People Power Party's Yoon Il-hyun won in Kimjeong-gu district in Busan, and Park Yong-chol won in Gangwon County in the city of Incheon. The Democratic Party won in 2 counties in Jeollanam-do province, Jangse-il in Yeonggwang-gun and Jo-sang-rae in Gokseong-gun counties. The Liberal superintendent candidate Chung Keun-sik too won in the capital Seoul. The final turnout for Seoul was 23.5%, while for the 4 districts and counties combined, it was 53.9%. In these by-elections, the strength and ability of the rival parties' new leaderships were put to the test. During the campaigns, PPP chairman Han Dong-un and DP chairman Lee Jae-myung put in special efforts to support their respective candidates, traveling often to the contested areas. With both parties safely securing seats in the expected regions, Han and Lee both remarked they will move forward with the support people have given them. Han said the people have given the PPP and the government a chance to change and renovate, and so that they will work hard to achieve such change, while Lee said they will respect the public sentiment and prevent the government from moving backward, and also lead in safeguarding the lives of the people.
The election winners will take their post immediately and serve the remainder of the term through June 2026. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
Employment in South Korea in September maintained positive momentum, with the figure rising by more than 100,000 on-year for the 3rd straight month. Now, the increase was most prominent in the information and communication sector. Our Lee Soo-jin tells us more.
Employment in South Korea increased by more than 100,000 on year for the third straight month in September. Data released by Statistics Korea on Wednesday showed that there were 28.84 million people in employment last month, up 144,000 from the previous year. The on-year job growth recovered to the 100,000 range in July and has stayed there for 3 consecutive months. But job growth was uneven across both industries and age groups. The increase last month was most prominent in the information and communication sector, with the figure going up by 105,000 on year. But the wholesale and retail sector fell by 104,000, the 7th straight month of decline and the sharpest decline since November 2021. The construction sector also fell by 100,000, the 5th straight fall and the largest drop since 2013 when relevant data for the sector was first compiled.
The construction sector is sluggish because of raw material costs and the decline in new construction. The wholesale and retail sector has been seeing a downward trend due to unmanned kiosks and online shopping.
By age group, job growth was mainly driven by those aged 60 and above, with 272,000 more people of that age in jobs compared to last year. Those in their 30s and 50s also saw job growth, but the job figures fell for those aged 15 to 29 as well as those in their 40s. In a ministerial economic meeting on Wednesday, the finance minister acknowledged the drop in employment in the construction sector and among young people, pledging to carry out more measures.
We have plans to improve the work environment for skilled construction workers to attract new workers to the industry, which has been experiencing a decline in employment. Employment training for young people will also be expanded.
He added that the government will also build an industrial ecosystem where companies have the capacity to continuously create quality jobs. 이수진, Arirang News.
Korea's exports of information and communication technology continued positive momentum in September as well, raking in over $22 billion. Overseas chip sales were behind yet another on-year increase. Our correspondent Moon Hae-ryun has more.
Strong semiconductor exports due to the AI boom once again led South Korea's tech shipments overseas. Data from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy showed that ICT exports in September rose by 24% compared to the same month the year before, adding up to $22.36 billion. This is the second highest amount for a month's worth of ICT exports on record and marks the 11th consecutive month that the country's tech exports recorded a year-on-year increase. The ministry attributed this to a rise in demand for chips in the artificial intelligence sector. The total value of semiconductor exports last month recorded an all-time high, coming in at more than $13.6 billion, once again recording growth in the double digits. This is showcased by exports of memory chips, including high-bandwidth memory semiconductors, which show significant growth of more than 60% year-on-year. As for other tech exports, computers and computer accessories surged by more than double year-on-year, while mobile phone shipments climbed by more than 25% on the back of the release of the foldable Galaxy Z series from Samsung Electronics in July, which continued its popularity into September. However, exports of displays and telecommunication equipment saw a decline. By country, tech exports to China, South Korea's main destination for ICT shipments, accounting for more than 41% of the total, continue to grow for the 11th month in a row. Shipments to the United States also rose by nearly 40% year-on-year, particularly for computer storage devices such as SSDs, which jumped by more than 250%. Meanwhile, ICT imports came to around $12.5 billion, leaving the ICT trade balance in the black once more. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
South Korean author Han Gang, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature last week, has kept a rather low profile since winning the award. She did speak to the public this Thursday, where she shared her gratitude and also voiced her hopes to continue writing as she has been.
The past week, so many people celebrated as if it were their own achievement. I will remember that as a deeply touching experience. Since I connect with the world through my writing, I want to keep writing and meeting readers, just as I have done so far.
In fact, in the 6 days following the Nobel Prize win, over 1 million copies of Han Gang's books were sold. And it's apparently unusual for several books by a single author that are not new releases to have that many copies sold within a week.
It's an unprecedented record because it's a challenge in itself to surpass 1 million copies in the digital era, compared to when it was common in the 80s and 90s. This goes beyond people just wanting to read the novel and shows their strong desire to own the actual book. The author's new releases will probably see increases in sales as well.
The novelist also noted her goal is to write 3 books until she's 60, which leaves 6 years to do so. In fact, she said she's trying her best to complete a novel and publish it in the first half of 2025, though she says she has always been wrong predicting when she would finish. Now, Han is set to receive her Nobel Prize in Literature at the ceremony held in Sweden on December 10th. And BTS member JHope was officially discharged from his mandatory military duty this week. And this makes him the second BTS member to reunite with the group's fan, the Army. He says he's excited to start chapter 3 of his life. Our Iuni has more.
JHope is back. The main dancer of global K-pop sensation BTS has now completed his 18-month mandatory military service and was discharged on Thursday morning.
Thank you so much. I come back in good health, and I'm truly grateful. I couldn't have completed my military service well without the support of all of you, my fans.
He is now the second of the 7 members to reunite with the band's devoted fans, the so-called Army. Fans weren't the only ones eagerly awaiting JHope being discharged. Fellow BTS member Jin, dressed in a red suit, was also there to welcome him back. Jin was the first to complete his military service, finishing in June. All 7 are set to reunite in June 2025, after they've all completed their military service. There were no special events as the group's agency Big Hit Music had asked fans to refrain from visiting the site for safety reasons. However, in the afternoon, JHope went live on Weverse, a fan community platform, to express his excitement about starting chapter 3 of his life, thanking fans for their support during his service. Regarding his future plans, he promised to provide further updates once the details are finalized. The superstar, who took a break as Sergeant Jung Ho-seok, is now ready to take off the beret and uniform and step back into the spotlight as BTS's JHope. Iun-hee, Arirang News.
The transition to clean energy is taking place in small but tangible steps at a camping program on Chu Island. How about a barbecue using renewable energy? You can also charge your phone by just using wind power. Our Park Kwon-woo has this story.
A pleasant eco-friendly camping adventure utilizing renewable energy. This is available on South Korea's largest island, Jeju, by using its plentiful natural resources, including wind power. As part of the net zero target of 2035, Jeju held its first RE100 camping event last week at the Dongbok Bukchon wind farm, sourcing renewable electricity for cooking and lighting the site, among others.
With renewable energy generated from the wind power at the site, you can charge your own phone just like me. Now I'm ready for more eco-friendly experiences. By riding this electric bicycle charged with renewable energy, you can enjoy the beautiful nature of Jeju while breathing in the fresh air.
A total of 100 campers signed up on a first-come, first-served basis enjoyed themselves during the one-night stay.
I've always been interested in recycling, so participating in this was meaningful. I rode an electric bike for the first time and it was fun. I'm looking forward to the barbecue, especially as you can't miss out on eating when camping.
Pork barbecued using electricity generated from wind power, along with farm produce from Jeju including carrots, was served to the campers for dinner. And as the camping was held at a site filled with abundant natural scenery, the campers were able to engage with nature as well. While trekking Gotjawar Forest, a kind of volcanic ecosystem in Jeju, campers had a chance to listen carefully to the sounds of nature with headsets and a small recorder.
I felt really comfortable as I was absorbed in the sounds of nature. It was fun to experience these activities with campers interested in environmental issues. I would like to keep coming here.
An official from the Jeju Tourism Organization is confident that the experience will continue to be popular.
Considering the environment and energy transition is a global trend, various eco-friendly events and content are being made. That's why our renewable energy camping is more unique.
He also said Jeju will be planning many more of these eco-friendly camping programs to bring more tourists to the region down the road. Park Kwon-woo, Arirang News, Jeju.
The South Korean national football team beat Iraq 3-2 in Tuesday night's World Cup qualifier. Playing in front of a sold-out crowd at the Yongin-Miri Stadium, Oh Se-hoon scored from close range in the 41st minute to give the home side the lead. Iraq drew level through Ayman Hussein just 5 minutes into the second half. But South Korea retook the lead thanks to a goal from Oh Hyung-gyu in the 74th minute and a diving header from Lee Jae-sung in the 83rd minute. Iraq adding a stoppage time goal, but South Korea held on to the win and sit top of Group B. Now, that wraps up this week's weekly news highlights. Have a lovely weekend and stay safe wherever you are. Goodbye.